Christina and I have been talking a little bit about what we think is important to address before you enter in retirement. We call them milestones or must-haves that need to be reviewed. I was just wrapping up the fact that your living expense is something that you're going to want to keep an eye on. Compare your options versus a mortgage or renting. We're going to go on to the next one. Christina, what do you got?
So our next milestone is a healthcare plan. Now, we don't just mean having an actual healthcare plan. It's having a plan to pay for all of your healthcare and medical expenses. One of the reasons many seniors have debt is because of unexpected medical expenses that incur. The National Debt Relief Survey found that roughly 17% of seniors carry an average of $9,144 in debt due to outstanding medical bills alone. So don't underestimate just how expensive medical bills can be for our seniors in their later years. Another important part of healthcare to consider is if you retire before age 65 and you cannot get on Medicare, and it's the actual cost of healthcare insurance itself. You will need to budget the expense of medical insurance into your retirement plans, which is probably nowhere near what you were paying for health insurance when you were with an employer. Insurance can run nearly $1,000 for individuals to $2,000 per month for a couple, which is a huge expense, probably one of your bigger bills for most people. This one fact can sway many folks from retiring early, so planning ahead and making that work into your retirement budget can help retirement go much smoother and possibly help you retire early.
That's definitely a good point. I notice a lot in meetings where clients come in and they've run what they think is going to be all the numbers necessary to have successful retirement. They're like, I know what my Social Security is going to be. I know what my pension is going to be. I have made a budget. And they forget that their budget before, when they were working, Medicare, the medical insurance was already covered by, it was taken out of their paycheck before they even hit hit their bank. And so when we remind them that you're now not part of a large group where you get a nice discount on your medical insurance, you're now going to be an individual, underwritten as an individual, $1,000 for one person. Most people are married, $2,000 a month. Obviously, that's a big hit on a budget if you did not plan on that.
Absolutely.
The next milestone that we wanted to talk about is your estate plan. So you got to kind of decide, what do you want to happen to your assets during retirement and then when you pass away? It's important that your goal for the balance of your estate be addressed early in retirement. Do you want it to continue to grow, or will you deplete some of it to generate income? Have you specified where the estate should flow to? Specific family members or some type of organization? That being the case, have it in writing, make sure it's accessible to everybody, and then kind of let people know this is where I'm keeping my estate plan options, and also review it from time to time. Make sure that it's still accurate as your needs change or as your retirement changes.
I think that's a great point, Rob. A lot of times we see folks who haven't looked at their trust or estate documents in many years. And unfortunately, life changes, or fortunately for some, however you look at it. So what you wanted 20 years ago may not be what you want now. So it's always important to look those documents over and just make sure they're still accurate, along with checking all of your beneficiaries on any of your accounts. Periodically, you always want to make sure that they're up to date. Maybe one account was missed or something didn't go through, whatever the case may be. You always want to look at that stuff. So our next milestone is mental health and a social plan. And sounds kind of weird at first, but if you think about it, after decades of having a career or being in a certain business field, many retirees, their identity is often wrapped up in their work. And most people spend too much time working and raising their kids and spend very little time nurturing their own personal relationships outside of work. So this is a recipe for loneliness and boredom in retirement. In fact, 36% of seniors said that they've considered going back to work because they are just bored. And we definitely see that here in the office. Many folks will get a part-time job or volunteer, do many different things. This is why it's so important to create a social and mental plan before you retire. Don't leave your job unless you have a good idea of what you want to do with your time and who you want to spend it with. It is really something you need to take some time to consider because retirement can last many years. So you may want to consider traveling or whatever your hobbies are, maybe something that involves exercise to keep you active and in shape, like pickleball, or maybe if you're fortunate enough to have grandkids and family, you can spend more time with them.
Those are good points. It's so important that people understand, okay, I've been working for all these years. I'm tired of working, so I'm going to retire. And it sounds like all I've done is I'm going to relieve some stress and give myself some free time. But you mentioned that loneliness and the boredom. We hear that a lot where our clients come in and they've worked hard, and obviously working the hours they were doing, they want to reduce it in some form or fashion. But it's not always, let's just stop working completely. And which kind of leads us into our next milestone that we want to address, and that's sort of a lifestyle trial run, meaning what do you think you'll actually do day by day when you retire? And so you really kind of need to, before you fully retire, kind of take a little mini vacation is what we call it. We say, okay, pretend like you're not going to work. So you're not going to, during this little mini vacation, you're not going to call into the office, you're not going to check emails, you're just going to do whatever you think you would do while you're retired. So what we say on this mini vacation is, it's a trial run. Pretend like I'm retired, and then think about, what are you going to do every day? Is it comfortable? Is it fun? Would you be bored? Would you be lonely? I certainly, here at our office, we kind of interact with everybody a lot. So if I were to retire, or somebody like myself were to retire, you're not going to have that interaction on a daily basis. That's the loneliness part you were talking about. So one idea I always have is you take a piece of paper and you make a list. You say, okay, let's pretend like it's Monday. And instead of working, what am I going to do on this Monday? I'm going to get up, what time, go where, how long, fill out that list. And then at some point you're going to say, okay, what does it look like compared to my normal work day? Does that list of retirement activities that I just made, is it rewarding? Is it filling up my day? Is this what I want to do on a Monday? Then what about Tuesday? What about Wednesday? So you have to kind of think about that in any way that you can and be prepared. And by doing so, you may find that you need to kind of adjust the list of what you will do in retirement. Maybe you need to add more things, maybe take up a new hobby, maybe buy a boat, something like that. Or if when you run that list and you're being honest with yourself, you're like, you know what, this doesn't sound like a very fun day or a fun week, maybe you want to readjust the actual date that you retire.
I think that's interesting. And we touched on another story in previous radio shows about folks who are getting close to retirement but not quite there. And they actually use that month, take a month off and try the trial run, and they do that for a couple of years, and a few things happen. Some of them realize they don't want to retire yet, and some of them realize they may want to retire sooner. So I think it really depends on every individual personality to see, where you stand and what are you comfortable with doing.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's so important that in retirement that you look at all of the different aspects. A lot of people just don't think about what they're actually going to do. They just know they're not going to work, and that sounds nice, not to have to get up, but you're going to get over that pretty quick. So we shared these milestones, kind of help people step back, think about, what will I do in retirement? What are the things I'm going to focus on? Do I have an estate plan lined up? Do I know what I'm going to do? Am I prepared for medical expenses? And so what we feel like is if you pre-plan and address these 6 different milestones before you fully retire, you should be on your way to a smoother and probably a more successful retirement plan. And that's our goal, is to help you and to help others have a successful retirement plan.
So next up, we have our savings acronym. Rob and I came up with this acronym to help people learn about all the different things investors would consider when coming up with a savings budget.
We had a lot of fun with that budget. We did that actually a couple of years ago. July 9th, 2023 is the air date of when we kind of presented budget. And we said, okay, we're going to take the word budget and we're going to give each letter sort of an emphasis to help our listeners think about what would make a successful budget. And so that acronym worked out very well. And so we said, let's do the same thing for savings. When we get back from this break, we're going to kind of summarize budget, lead into savings, and kind of help come up with some ideas to help you have a more successful savings plan. Stay tuned. More coming up on Dollars and Cents.